Okay, so for the final video, we're working with the note card, which I don't have with me. The direct variation, which here's its formula. So x is multiplying, and then we have inverse variation in which x is being divided. And then for both of them, if we need to find k, we made a variation of the formula by solving for x, which means we got x by itself. So if I just need to find k, then I can just take the y value and divide it by the x value. And an inverse variation, the modified formula is to find k. To get x or k by itself, I'd multiply by x. So if I just take y times x, that's my modified formula. So that's what the first couple want you to do. Is it's going to tell you how it varies, if it's direct or if it's inverse. And then your job is to find k. So we'll use this formula. And then we'll take k and put it back into here, but we'll just put k back into here. We won't put the x and the y values. So the first one tells us it varies directly with x. So the job is to write the equation. So first I have to figure out what k is. Since it varies directly, I'm going to use this version. So to find k, I'm just going to take -4 and divide it by 2. So k is -2. And now write the equation. I write it like this. Again, just k goes back in, not the x and y value. Now the second part is it wants me to use that formula to find y. So this formula, when x is -6. So I'm just going to take the fact that x is -6, put it back in, and then I'll figure out that y is worth 12. All right, next one, it varies inversely. So I'll be using these two formulas. And if y equals 40 and x equals 16, I need to find k. So I'm just going to multiply the two. And using your calculator, you'll find out that that's worth 640. Now that I have that, I can write the equation. And again, use this equation, but just put k back in. So y equals 640 over x. All right, now 2b wants you to use this equation to figure out what x is when y equals -5. So -5 is going to go in here. And to solve for x, since they're dividing by x, I'm going to undo that by multiplying both sides by x. It cancels out over here. This is not x minus 5, it's -5x equals 640. And now to get x by itself, just divide by -5, and I'll find out that x is worth -128. All right, next one, y varies inversely with x again, so same formula. I'll be using this one. I'll need to find k first, so I'll use that. So y equals 7, x equals -8. So what I'm going to quickly do to find k is multiply those. K is -28, and now we're going to write the equation that relates x and y. So it's going to be y equals -28 over x. And now finally use that equation, this one, when x equals 5. So over 5, and here I'll get a decimal. And you could leave it as the fraction if you wanted to. You can't simplify that fraction, but here's what y is as a decimal. All right, last one. So it's another direct variation. So again, use these two. We'll, if the pattern keeps going, have to find k first. So to find k, what I'm going to have to do is take y and divide it by x, so 15 divided by -18. This is a fraction that can simplify. I can factor a 3 out or take a 3 out, and I'll get -5/6. And it's okay for k to be a fraction, and I'm just going to leave it like this instead of turning it into a decimal because the decimal repeats. So now write the equation, y equals -5/6 times x. And then finally, I'm going to use that equation for when x is 1.6. So I'm just going to put 1.6 into there. And I kept it as a fraction when I typed that into my calculator. And when I do that, I do get a decimal repeating. It's 1.33 repeating. All right, the final part, you have to tell me first, is it direct, is it inverse, or is it neither? And then if it is, that some form of variation, direct or inverse, then you got to tell me what k is. So remember, all the equations have to be in the form y equals, and x is either multiplying or x is dividing into k. So I can see right away that 6 with subtraction is neither, and I can see that 12 with addition is neither. So those two are done. Just going through, and I realize these are not numbered correctly, but number 9, x is technically, this is direct variation because I could rewrite this as negative 1/4, and x is multiplying to that. So it's direct variation, and then k is negative 1/4. And you will be expected to give both values, or I'm sorry, that it's this and this, not just one or the other. So on 7, it's y equals, x is dividing, so that makes it inverse variation, and that's going to make my k be 9. 10, again, x is multiplying to a half, that makes it direct variation, and my k is just a half. And then 13, again, I needed to get it to be y equals, so I'm going to divide by x. So when I have it, x is dividing, that's going to make it inverse variation, and my k is 18. Whoops, that's supposed to be 18. But again, you guys, k can be a fraction, so it doesn't have to be a nice number like 18 or the 9 over there. It can be a fraction. And that's it. Last video.